Well guys, this is the long overdue video. It's probably been a long time since I've last did a video on this, as it's now time for week 15 of the 2021 DCFL season, as I'm filming this on February 13th, 2015. So when we last left off in the standings in the Eastern Conference, the Indianapolis Rapid Stallions have already clinched number 1, and Jacksonville has clinched number 2. The last spot in the Eastern Conference still up in the air for New York, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and Boston. Meanwhile, in the Western Conference, Oakland leads with the Staley's second, Kansas City's number 3, and Seattle, Tacoma's right behind, and San Diego, of course, the only team eliminated. And now we take a look at the schedule for Week 15, as it would start off with Jacksonville at Baltimore, then a big one as New York's at Indianapolis, and then Boston at Philadelphia. And then in the Western Conference divisional matchups, it's Kansas City at Oakland, Tacoma at Chicago. Actually, it's Chicago at Tacoma, the other way around. And it'll be Seattle at San Diego to wrap it up. And here's how Week 15 ended. As Week 15 ended with Jacksonville beating Baltimore, who had a 23-7 lead, and then they scored 17 unanswered points to win. Thank you, defense. I appreciate that. As Indianapolis completely obliterated New York, no surprise. Meanwhile, in the defensive struggle, Philadelphia beats Boston to knock them out of the playoffs, and having a good chance to still make the playoffs. Meanwhile, in the Western Conference, Kansas City continues to win as they've now won 4 in a row after they beat Oakland in a defensive struggle on the last-second touchdown. Then Chicago, of course, would lose to Tacoma after Tacoma throttled them throughout the entire game. They were up 24-7 at one point, as they got a huge victory to get them over 500 now, I think. Meanwhile, San Diego would finally get a win after they knocked off Seattle, which I think almost eliminates them from the playoffs as well. Alright, so now, of course, here is the update stands. As Indianapolis and Jacksonville, nothing's changed. They're still number 1, number 2. It's going to come down to, from New York, they just need to win. Philadelphia, they need a win, and they need New York to lose. Baltimore's still in, but we need to win, and we need New York and Philadelphia to lose. Meanwhile, for Oakland, all they have to do is just win, and I think they get the number 1 seed. Chicago, they need a win, and they're in. Or if they win, Oakland loses, they can still get the number 1 seed at 9-7. Kansas City just needs a win, and they're in. Seattle needs a win. I think they need Kansas City to lose. No, that was Tacoma. And Seattle needs to win, and a whole bunch of other things going their way to have even a chance to get in. That was a tough loss they had earlier. Alright, here we go. The final schedule of the season, as they'll start off with New York at Baltimore. Both teams need to win to stay in the playoffs. Indianapolis at Boston means nothing. And Philadelphia at Jacksonville. Philadelphia needs to win to stay in the playoffs. Meanwhile, in the Western Conference, it'll be San Diego, Kansas City. Kansas City needs to win to stay in the playoffs. Then it's Oakland, Tacoma. That's a big game. Playoffs and the number 1 seeds on the line, so that's huge. And finally wrap it up with Seattle at Chicago, which Seattle needs to win to stay alive, and some other things going away. And Chicago needs to win to get into the playoffs. Alright guys, we are almost there. The season's almost over, as we're now down to the final week. So hopefully I'll get it done very soon instead of waiting like almost a year from the last video and such. But anyways guys, that wraps up here. See you all next time for week 16.